Yeah. The camera's sitting real low today, but that's okay. The thing that I have to actually clamp my phone is wearing out. Unfortunately, my phone is slightly too big for this clamp, so I might have to make a new one. That way it'll actually clamp it properly. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, I know. That clamp's like 6 years old at this point. Oh, 5, 6 years. Because I got it way back when I very first started streaming, so. We're starting Nave's Refurb today, because he's a scrungly old boy. So, yeah. Assuming I don't destroy him, he's probably going to need a lot of work, because he's one of my older suits. He was actually the first ever commission I did. So a lot of this is going to be not great quality underneath. And he's definitely going to need some reinforcing and all that jazz. In fact, actually, I did not share this on Telegram yet, so. He's got some scrungly spots, like right here looks a little dirty. Jay, you're here. You got stuff today? Oh no, this is just a piece of thread that's knotted up in his hair. There we go. I'm going to try to save this hair poof, because the hair poof itself is actually relatively new. I see, I see. There we go. Hair poof. You guys hold that for me. He bald. He bald. He's bald and he's torturing people who have hair. That audio is stuck in my head. It's silly. We are going to give him a new tongue, but we'll just pattern it based off of this tongue. Because this tongue's not bad, but it is really worn down. You can see like it's really fuzzy. The bottom side's not bad. We could just flip it over if we wanted to, but I really don't want to with how scrub. I don't know how well you guys can actually see that. The lighting in here is awful, but it's very fuzzy, scrungly on the one side. So my eyes. He is going to get full new sets of eyes. His eyes are also an older version. They've been updated a couple times. Teeths. These are also scrunkly and yucky looking. So he'll get some new teeths. Brain hole. His eyes got updated a couple times while I had over the years, because I've switched the way I do eyes like 5 or 6 times since I first started making fursuits. Like the eye blanks themselves have changed. I no longer do buckram, I do sublimation, so he'll be waterproof. Now he's got a Muppet mouth. His poor jaw. I have a feeling I'm going to have to actually replace this entire piece of foam, and that it's not going to go well. But that is future us's problem. But right now we're going to try ripping off. I mean, we don't really care about preserving the fur because it's all going to get replaced. So. We don't necessarily have to be gentle pulling this off. He had no teeth. He's about to have no eyes. The foam, pretty much. The foam is what's staying. Pretty much just the head base. I might not... it's not very well attached, is the thing. So when I take the fur off, it might come off as well. And it might be a simple thing if I just have to re-glue it on, but it might also be so bad that I have to remake the jaw. Upside, I glued his fucking eyeballs in fantastically. Eyeball? He's missing his fucking eyes. Well, now he's gonna look like a freaking FNAF character here in a second. Come on. Yeah, I see. Oh. Now he's got no eyeballs. Oh, that's funky. There's parts of the hot glue here because these eyeballs were put in after the fur. Normally the fur goes and gets put in after the eyeballs are in. But since these eyeballs were replaced later on, I did take his fucking eyes. You can actually see the line prints in the hot glue that's on the fur from the lines in the 3D printed eye blanks. So that is nuts. That's funky. Alright. Next up, we're going to take his neck off. I don't know what the easiest way to go about this would be, honestly, because I did a lot of blanket stitching on his neck. That's interesting. I don't really do a blanket stitch too often anymore. He will get a blanket stitch on his face fur, though. Just because that'll help it lay more nicely. I just want to take his neck off. You know what? We're going to be mean about it. I'm sorry, but we're going to be mean about it. We're just going to chop through it. I'm sorry. We're going to have to repattern it all anyway, so... Yes, he was. He wasn't my first fursuit, but he was my first commission. Patch was my first fursuit, and he was scared. Well, that's not true. He was my second fursuit. Leo was my first fursuit. Patch was my first full suit ever. And I hated his bodysuit, so he got scrapped. And now he's just a 3/4 suit instead. His 2.0. And there goes his neck. Do-do-do-do. And we'll get to see what is it, 3 years? Oh god, I do want to try to save this. His ears. Which aren't even glued. Oh. None of this is glued. None of the minky is actually glued. That's weird. I just sewed them down. Which is extra interesting because the foam is actually detaching there. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, it's just the inside parts are glued. That's interesting. No, this foam's just old. Foam gets really, really yellow. Oh, no, wait. You're talking about the fact that I didn't glue them down. I'm a dork, man. I'm only half awake today, apparently. We'll see, because I'm probably going to replace the minky on the ears anyway, just because I paid for minky already. Oh yeah, no, I think a lot of things, like, he's got a much more domed head shape. I know that that's because I did not have an Ed head at the time when I made him. I actually had a foam head that I made him on. But honestly, he fits really comfortably. I do need to start getting this more dome shape on my heads again, though, because a lot of my head's kind of flat. I have to work on that. And you can see, I still have a lot of that structuring on the inside of the head, similar to what I do today, because it's the same, same deal. This is all old craft foam, though. This isn't even really attached. A lot of this, like this foam here, is just going to get ripped out. And then he's going to get fully lined, which should help. Yeah, a lot of that straight up just detaching right off the bat. He's just falling apart. Good lord. This is all Walmart craft foam, too. It's not as high quality as what I use today, so... Yeah, we'll detach the seams around the ears next, I suppose. And of course, the thread I used for these was not ideal either. I use a much heavier duty thread these days. And this is why I was so scared to open them up. Because I'm really worried that when I take... A lot of the structure in my suits is the fur itself. Especially with how old this suit is and the foam that it's made out of. So I'm really worried that once I get all this foam off, this fur off, I mean, that the foam's not going to hold its shape anymore. There's a lot of seams that aren't holding together well. Overall, though, I don't think I'm going to need to do, especially if I can get all of this peeled off nicely, I don't think there's going to be a lot of fill-ins with the foam base itself, at least. I don't think I'm going to have to add on too much extra foam. It'll just be wherever the hot glue decides to rip off instead of nicely peel off. Which was another one of my big worries. You don't pop seams everywhere. But yeah, you don't have the heavy-duty thread either. Which I know we were talking about doing a 2.0 for you, and I didn't realize your bodysuit was so old. And all the weird ways that I did your bodysuit until I had to do repairs on it this last time. I was like, oh man, it has been a while. All of this is glued down right here. Come on. Get any of this to detach real nice for me. Because really that's the hard part, is I want to detach it without tearing the foam. And without hopefully damaging the ears. Well, that's all glued down. Okay. We'll get to that part when we get to that part now, because that shit's not coming off right now. Because essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to remelt the glue. I'm going to go through with the hot glue gun. I'm going to go underneath and come up underneath the fur to help peel it off, rather than ripping it off and taking all that foam with it. And that'll help preserve some structure as well, which I think it really looks like I actually stuffed his tufts, which is weird. Yeah, there's like actually chunks of foam in his fur tufts, which is not something I do anymore, so I'm probably going to just replace that foam entirely. We'll just take that off. And then his nose is like solid hot glue, so we're probably going to take that off as well and redo his nose as close to the original as we can get. Let's see what happens if we pop this jaw seam. Will it hold together or will it die? We won't know, it's all glued on. There we go. Surprisingly, his jaw is holding pretty okay. I do not expect it to be very happy when I get in here and... Ooh, nice! Interviews are always good. But I don't think this jaw is gonna... This jaw is so weird. It's built with like 6 different pieces. Alright. That was a choice by me, I guess. I think also this was back when I was still using the mini hot glue gun, which was also a choice. I made so many weird choices back then. Pop that seam, yeah. Pop that seam. Frick yeah. And we're just gonna pull that whole chunk off. Because, yeah, there's definitely a triangular piece of 1-inch foam in there, which I'll replicate later. Very interesting underneath here. Yeah, I say you would be paying around that much if you did a 2.0. It depends too, like on what extras and whatnot you get. Fuck. Release. There we go. Oh, that's all folded in weird and shit too. Come on. Fuck. There we go. This is gonna need some reinforcing later, but I already knew that just because we're putting the new eye blanks in him. It will also get some fleece around his eyes instead of just being raw fur to foam here. So I'm not too worried about it. Okay, we're gonna murder. And there's a seam right there that's trying to peel up. I mean, the upside is we do know that his face was very much adhered. It definitely was on here, on this foam. Right. That was a while ago. I honestly don't remember at this point anymore. Because I know, too, we were just talking about possibly just reinforcing your bodysuit instead of doing a whole new bodysuit. Cheek tuft. His little guy on it. Oh, and that's interesting too. Huh. So rather than sewing 3 teeny tiny stripes, I sewed a big patch behind the gaps and then stitched the stripes down. Which is very interesting. That was a choice. Right. I just worry that she's going to keep blowing more seams and stuff as she gets older, you know. Since most of her's done with that thread. Plus, if we're doing a 2.0 of her head, all of that white fur is going to look distinctly different from the white fur on her body, just because of how it's aged. Like, that white's not white anymore. Skin the child. It's very interesting how similar and yet how different I make fursuits now from how I, Right. This is probably going to be most of my, this is going to be most of the stream. Just me doing all this. But it is really interesting, though, looking and seeing how similar and yet how different the way I make my old suits is. Because, like, all the foam base is relatively similar to what I do today. Like, there's a lot of shape differences and stuff like that. Like, I noticed right off the bat when I was looking at him in the car before I even actually started taking him apart here on stream. I noticed, like, he's got these supports along his head, but these bottom supports that are right along his lower jaw, these days, these are directly below where the eyes are. So when you put his head on, like, I'd say your eyes are fairly centered, if not to the top of his head. Granted, his strap's a little loose on me. Whereas my modern suits, the supports aren't at the bottom of the head. They're towards the middle / the top of the head, which is very, very interesting. Because I didn't think that was something that I had changed in my suits, to be honest. I didn't think that was something I'd done differently. And also this front panel on his head, which we'll get to in a minute, is actually curved in itself. There's darts, or at least separate pieces in it. Whereas the front panels on my current heads are curved like this, but not like this per se. And then there's a piece up here that's curved and domed, which is very, very interesting. And honestly, I kind of want to pattern off of him when he's refurbed. Get a pattern copy that I can scale down a little bit for masks, possibly. Because he is a very iconic suit head that I've made. Because, like, I would do it off of Patch's head, but his muzzle is completely different from how I make it these days. Like, his muzzle's actually fairly solid, fairly intact. If I can, I might even just carve out the mouth a little bit more, because it's really thick right here. Most of my muzzles aren't that thick anymore. But this is also a different foam than I used today, so I might not be able to do that without having issues with structural integrity. Pop that seam! Pop that seam! Don't cut the foam, just pop that seam! Oh. I almost feel like at some point I really just want to get a GoPro, so that way you guys can see what I see from my noggin. Because I feel like that'd be a better view than whatever this is. Especially with what that clamp's doing. You guys are looking nowhere near where you're supposed to be looking. Yeah, I'd say Luna's pretty... She's got... Luna is very different from what I usually do, though. Because I don't usually do those cheek puffs. So here, trying to make her a bit more triangle-y fox shaped. That's not something I really do with my fursuit shaping anymore. Especially not to that extent. I do a little bit of a cheek buildup, which I've noticed Nave distinctly does not have. He does not have any cheek buildup. Which makes sense for a husky. Or is he a full? I forget what Nave is. It's been so long. But we're not trying to make any drastic changes to his shape. We're just trying to make kind of revive him a little bit, you know. We're not here to change the design, we're just here to make him look fresh and clean. And like, this blue is going to be a completely different shade by the time I'm done, because this is a different fur. He'll actually match his bodysuit once when I'm done, hopefully. There might be a little bit of a discrepancy between the two of them, but I just took my face out with a hot glue gun. Yeah, we're just gonna... There we go. Yeah, this foam is a lot squishier than my current foam, which isn't a good or a bad thing, per se. It's just a different density. Because, like, the squishier is nice, because, you know, it's a squishier head. You can smush it a lot more easily. But at the same time, that also means it compresses a lot more easily and doesn't necessarily hold up as well. Although it's looking like it's holding up pretty good under here for being cheap Walmart craft foam. That's not bad at all. I am going to have to patch in his muzzle after this, though. 'Cause there's a lot of tearing out a decent amount of chunks here. I'm going to have to smooth that out by putting just a little strip over it. I don't even know what's going on right here with the hot glue. Come on. This is kind of like reverse soldering. What's going on here with the foam? That's interesting. Is that on the other side too? No, doesn't look like it. That's a chunk I'm gonna have to fill in, reinforce. He getting naked. And I'll keep this because then I can. The thing I worry about too is with this base being as thin as it is, I don't want to accidentally melt any of the seams on the foam when taking the fur off, because then the base will come apart. And that's something we definitely don't want to do. Just some surface level heat. We're going to do that thing again. Alright, come over here and actually just pull this tuft off. Because we're going to remake those. We've been over that part. So bad for these scissors. Whoop. Pulling up chunks of foam, you don't want that. The more fur I take off, the floppier he gets. Oh lord. This is scary, honestly. We're just gonna start cutting him into pieces. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. There's definitely no going back at this point. Like, his face is in pieces. He's gonna get a new face. It's gonna look so much nicer too with his new shave. Maybe. Okay, what do we have going on right here? A lot of hot glue, that's what we have going on. Caked on, actually. We're just gonna take this whole snoot right off. No more nose. We'll replace that. This side's not so bad. This side's gonna need a lot more smoothing out, reinforcing. We haven't even gotten to his lower jaw. I'm trying not to tear up his jaw more. We want to keep it intact. Yeah, like, I don't really know what I don't know if it was polar fleece or what, but I don't know what I used. It's more like a sports fabric than it is a fleece on his lower jaw. It's very thin. Even for fleece that's been worn down, you know? Like, this is so weird. Apparently I had a lot of excess under there. Did I do. Pop that seam. Pop that seam. Yeah, like for reference, this hot glue gun is younger than this suit. This is old me. Honestly, with how this stuff is glued down, how thin it is, I might not even take all of it out. Because at this point, it's acting as a support structure to this suit. So I might just glue fleece on top of whatever this is. It's kind of acting as an interfacing right now. I am going to get all the fur off though, because we don't need all that. But like the inside of his mouth here, this is like caked, glued on. That's not coming. It's not coming off without a fight, and I think I'm better off just leaving it. Then again, I might be better off just making him a new mouth. At this rate. It's like, that is barely hanging on. Actually, this stuff's coming out of the center of the mouth really well. Not too bad at all. That mouth is really not even there at this point. Honestly, I think if I come up and I reinforce the bottom of the mouth, though, around here, that will fix that, hopefully. Because I think that's going to be a better effect than trying to create a separate mouth and attach it on, versus just re-gluing it on. I'm not so worried about tearing foam out of here, because, like I said before, it's pretty freaking thick right there. You can always smooth that out later. I'm worried about right here, though, where the jaw connects. There we go. Is his mouth done. It's very weird how it still very much looks like Nave. Granted, cursed Nave. I think, though, I might actually still pattern this part of him. He's got a very narrow muzzle. I guess it's 4 inches. But he's got a 2-inch bridge. That's what makes it look so narrow. Now, my suits these days have a 1-inch bridge, not 2. And I find that fixes the vision issue of direct front vision. I personally like to be able to see directly in front of me more than I care about seeing in my peripherals. Although I try to get both as much as I can. If I have to sacrifice one, it's going to be peripheral before front vision, though. His bridge is also thicker than what I do a lot of times these days, like depth-wise, which honestly I need to get back into doing. Well, that being said, too, I have an example. His muzzle droops. I don't know if you guys can see that, but like if we're holding his head straight, his muzzle goes downwards. Whereas these days my muzzles actually stay straight compared to the face, which is important it drastically affects how things look, how things see. So we can also see that if I do that with his muzzle, suddenly that stop there is different. It's not the same. Which was, if you ask me, a big flaw of my older suits was the droop snoots. My older suits all had droop snoots, which is cute, but I consider it a flaw because snoots don't droop unless they are droop snoots. But most canines do not have droop snoots. That also explains a lot about the setup of his head. And then he's got like no glue right there. Does he have brow lumps? I think he might. I think he actually has little spots right here that are meant to be eyebrows. Yep, he sure do. That is a thing I still do sometimes for suits that specifically have eyebrows. I don't really do that much anymore, though. Which is something I should probably bring back, is the brow ridge, because I think that'll solve. I mean, like, I like the smooth shape that my heads get, though. But I think a little bit of a brow bump for suits that have brows, like the rabbit back there does have eyebrows. I think those would have done nicely to have a little bit of a bump there. I think they still look good as is. Definitely defining pieces as brow versus non-brow. I can't believe that's something that I actually stopped doing. That's another one that surprises me, because that's not something that was intentional. I never just decided I don't like eyebrows, I'm going to stop putting them on my suits. I just slowly over time forgot them. And speaking of, I don't know how well these ones are going to survive. They're not really wanting to come off the fur. Come on. It's going to be very interesting to do all this again. And, like, I'm surprised he has such small seam allowances on his head. Hot. Yeah, like this eyebrow is going to need some reinforcing. The other eyebrow I think is okay. This one's going to need a little bit of, right there, just a little chunky. Just a little strip. He's almost all naked. Yup. That looks about right. I am probably going to... I don't know if I'll do a strip over the top of the head or not. I feel like the fabric, when I go to line his head along with refurring him, is going to keep that structure just fine. I am worried though that his ears are about to pop off. Ooh. Do not seem happy. Oh no, buffering. Is that just on my end? It might be. I hope it's just on my end. Oh dear. Here, hold on a second. Kill it. Kill it with fire. No, not Amazon. Get out of here. Ugh. Yeah, I know. It's an issue with Camo. The app that actually lets me use my phone camera. Here, hold on. You shouldn't even still be connected. That's interesting. It tends to lag out a lot a bit. Here, have this while you wait. Have a little dance party. Cool beans. You guys exist. Oh god, but barely. Oh no. Okay, well you know what? The clamp has officially decided it's broken. You guys hang out there for a second. Hold on. We'll get you a high chair. Does your small child need a booster seat? Oh, I have no good way to actually prop you up, though. Uh-oh. Forrest, stop making face noises. Little weirdo. Okay. Cool beans? Maybe? Oh, and we're lagging again. Gosh dang it. Ugh, there really is no winning, is there? Oh, good lord. This time it might be my internet. Fudge nuggets. Oh, good lord, it's skedaddling. Okay, you know what? Hi. I'm gonna end stream. And we'll come back on Wednesday and hopefully have everything working better. Bye, guys!